Hello, First to Third podcast. Woo, it's baseball time. It's the fall. Robbie's probably blowing a little bit of cold air, I think, outside on his porch here, it looks like. And the playoffs are upon us. It's an exciting time of the year. We've been talking about fall, it feels like, for 3 weeks now. But I think all of us, it's one of our favorite times of year for multiple reasons. This Braves-Mets series, I think, has got all of us fired up for the playoffs and what can happen and what's to come. So super stoked, super stoked. It's obviously been a good outcome for us so far, so also super stoked about that as well. So yeah, just loving it. Rob, how you doing?
I'm doing great. We finally got ourselves moved in. Finally got a lot of stuff unpacked. We still got a long way to go, but there's a dang dog barking in the background. But yeah, we're loving it, having a good time.
Good.
Had a visitor come in the house last night. And
Oh,
wife, a little 7-inch long black snake.
Oh boy.
My wife thought it was Meg thought it was a cord or a piece of trash. She went to pick it up. She grabbed it.
I guess you are now on trash duty and cord duty for the rest of.
Yeah, so we're a little jumpy. So hopefully there's no snakes in the house anymore.
Well, I hear you. Barrick, we were chatting just before we got on. Glad to hear everything is well down in Florida, aside from obviously the neighborhood and just the surrounding area. But you know, always count the blessings the best we can. So
crazy weather time, but everything worked out pretty good, and now it's just kind of clean up now. So it's I'm glad it's passed.
Yeah. On top of the rest of life, right? So
yeah, really. Yeah.
Well, the good news is hopefully we're through hurricane season. We shouldn't. Knock on wood.
We'll see.
Hopefully you don't have too many of those, and be good for coming in next year, and hopefully not too bad. But anyway,
what does it have to get to get a name?
I don't know.
50 miles an hour. I feel like.
Is it like
something like that?
So like a depression or
I know this one was the first one to hit Tampa since like the 20s. So it's kind of crazy that it hit this area, but I don't know what it needs to have a name.
Is it there's depression, there's storm, there's anxiety.
It looks like 74. It looks like if sustained winds get to 74 miles an hour, it's considered a hurricane.
Okay.
Yeah. That's exciting.
I can tell you that putting up hurricane shutters is not a fun job.
Oof. I bet.
Yeah. Not something I recommend.
Well, it did not take long for Florida to I guess literally or figuratively baptize you into the state.
Yeah.
So
your dog almost got eaten by an alligator, and you've got a hurricane.
True too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man.
Hey, I think you have checked the Floridian box at this point. Like you're good to go. So
yeah, we're good. We've already finished. It's time to move on.
Barrick, are you like living the Florida man life, like that Twitter account, Florida man?
Yeah. Hopefully not quite that bad, but yeah, it's definitely hit us in the face. It's like, welcome to Florida.
Yeah.
So good times.
Well, at the end of the day, still got to be better than Louisiana, right? So
that's true. That place is weird.
Too funny, man. Oh well. Excited to join you guys tonight, and as always, talk a little baseball with you, and the rest of the community and folks that are out there. In typical fashion, we'll start off with just our kind of stack bet recap. So last week, Drew and I kind of held down the fort and put in some stack bets. Drew kind of slid one in on me that we're going to have to maybe as a podcast decide. I wish he was here to maybe defend it. I wasn't really paying attention last week when we went over these, but so Drew has put up 3 stack bets. He put up 50 stacks that the Braves would win both series, And then he put up 50 stacks that the Braves would win the Mets series. And so that's where I'm like, is he kind of double dipping there a little bit? Because it's like if I guess he could lose the bet that the Braves won both series, but then could win the stack bet that the Braves won the Mets series. So I don't know. To be decided on that.
I think that's okay. I mean, I guess that's you can I guess it's kind of double dipping, but that's all right.
Yeah, because I mean, technically they have at this point won the National Series, and they have at this point won the Mets series because they've already won the 2 games. So
yeah,
like I said, it when I went to kind of put the check mark by that, I was like, I might leave that up for discussion because it seemed like we were double dipping a bet there a little bit.
Tricky.
Nonetheless. And then he also put up 100 stacks that the Braves would be in first place by the end of tonight's game. So I followed him on that bet and said that the Braves will be in first place by the end of tonight's game. I put up 200 stacks on that, so I kind of went pretty heavy on that. I was feeling pretty confident.
Well, essentially that's like saying you would bet them to sweep.
Pretty much, yeah. So.
Well, this just got really interesting.
Yeah, real interesting. And then I also put up 50 stacks that Dansby Swanson would hit 2 home runs this week, and that was post Monday night because we didn't put the stack bets in before the Nationals game. So that was Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And boy, oh boy, did he come in clutch this weekend. He's hit a home run now Friday against DeGrom, Saturday against Scherzer, and then today against Bassett. So that's a big old check mark next to that one for me, boys. So super pumped. So I'm sitting with the potential to win 500 stacks this week if the Braves can hold on to win this game as we currently stand. Drew, if the Braves also hold on, would be in line to win 400. So I would pick up 100 stacks on him.
There you go. That's the name of the game
for the week. So that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do. So we're scratching and clawing, boys. We're scratching and clawing. So, yeah, like I said, I went pretty all in on the Braves this week. I was just feeling pretty good, and Dansby, he's just come up big in big games, and I truly felt like he was going to have a big series against the Mets, and he's made me look real good. So, yeah, kudos to you, Mr. Dansby Swanson. I appreciate it. So,
is he going to be a Brave next year?
God, I'll tell you this, in my opinion, and Rob, you can let me know if you disagree, and Barrick, if you have an opinion, by all means as well. But before the season, I was as good as he played last year and helped us win the series. Before this season, I was on the fence a little bit, just because his offense had been so up and down. And I was wondering if it would just make sense for us to try to go get a little bit more of a stable offensive bat. But I'll tell you, man, I don't know if I'd rather have any other shortstop playing. I mean, he is from Atlanta. He's putting up numbers that are amazing and really awesome. He's shown really good leadership this year, in my opinion, and really kind of stepped into that role. So he has completely flipped my attitude on that 180 degrees. So
yeah, but the question wasn't, do you like him? The question was, do you think he's going to be an Atlanta Brave next year?
I do. I'm trying not to get my hopes up, but I do. I think he wants to stay in Atlanta. I think the Braves, at this point, I would hope, want to keep him in Atlanta. But his price tag has gone up significantly. I will say that. I mean, the fact that they didn't sign him before the season is definitely. I mean, he, like we've seen with a lot of guys, he's bet on himself. So,
with a lot of guys, or one guy in particular.
There is one glaring example of that this year. So
that's all right.
But
Matt Olson's made up for the last month in the last 2 games.
100%. 100%. So I don't know. What do you think he'll be a Brave, Rob?
Yeah, I do.
The Braves haven't really given you a reason not to think he wouldn't be. I mean,
well, I would say the one thing that's causing me some question mark is the Freddie Freeman situation. I think if we were doing this podcast this time last year.
Yeah, but was that it? Yeah. But that was Freddie, right? I mean, Freddie and his representative, not the Braves. I think the Braves wanted him.
I think that whole situation, I think Chipper Jones said it best. He said, look, Alex is going to do his job. Don't mess with him.
Yeah.
Do not mess around. He will move on if he thinks he can't get you.
Yeah. Well, and I think
there was only one person. Olson was the only person that would have made that go. And so it'll be interesting to see how that influences or kind of colors the conversation about whether Dansby Swanson's there next year.
Well, and that was my point, was like Freddie was also saying along the whole year that he wanted to be a Brave, no different than what Dansby is saying right now. And when the rubber meets the road. So that's why I was saying that's where my hesitation comes from, is we're basically reliving the same kind of situation. So, and they're represented by the same agency.
Yeah.
So it's literally a 2.0. So we're going to have quite a bit to talk about this offseason when it comes to that. So
quite a bit,
because there are some shortstops out there in the same manner that the Braves could go out and try to sign that would more than likely be adequate fillers. So if we look a little distracted, we are still all trying to kind of catch a little bit of the Braves game, and John McCain just almost tied it.
I'm not John McCain.
John McCain, yeah.
I'm not distracted at all.
Anyway, I always want to see, every time I see the McCann or whatever up there, I always want to say Brian, and then I have to be like, no,
he's also a catcher. He honestly, when he came up for free agency from the White Sox, I really wanted the Braves to go get him. Like I thought he was, James McCann. He was really good and young, and I was like, man, dude, the Braves have no catching.
Did he tag him? Yeah, like that. Yeah. Well, and they were talking about this on the broadcast tonight with Travis d'Arnaud. The Mets basically, gave up on the guy and gave him away for nothing, and now here he is. He's an all-star with the Braves, and it's one of those things. So, are they challenging this call? Rob, you're ahead of me. I don't think he tagged him. Well, I think we caught a break on that one because it does not look like he tagged him at all. So, unless it was by,
maybe he clipped the bill of his cap.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
here's the next part. It's like, okay, I'll tag you, but you're gonna have a bloody nose.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. First
baseman.
Yeah,
he got him. He got him on the chin.
First baseman catch such a rap over there for like hard tags and crap like that, and it's like, what do you want me to do? Like, if I try to baby this and like not tag you, then I'm not going to tag you. Like, you're in a no-win situation. So, oh yeah, right to the face.
He got it on the chin. Because I was with you, Scotty.
One of the angles literally looked like he just swept and missed him. Flat out missed him. So, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, first base is hard. Tell your friends. Yeah, it's so funny like that, like how every position in baseball, and I'm sure it's like with anything in sports. There's certain like stereotypes that get put out there, and so many people, and I guess it was that way for maybe a long time, but so many people think, put the guy that can hit the ball far and can't run very fast at first base, and that's who your first baseman is. And there's not a lot of athleticism over there, and there's not a lot of things that happen, but there's a lot that happens at first base that if you have a bad one, it will show its head very quickly. If you have a good one, it'll go unnoticed. So that was one of the things I kind of took pride in. Like, if people didn't really notice me, that meant I was kind of doing what I was supposed to be doing. Like,
agreed.
So anyway,
Agreed, Scotty. I'm grateful I'm getting an upgrade at first base this year.
Good.
For the old Covenant Eagles.
Yeah. It's
Transfer portal.
Hey,
yeah,
private school days, yeah. Hey, need you, kid.
a freshman who's 6'3", 230, and is like semi football, basketball level athletic.
Okay. Yeah, that's great.
Catch it with your teeth.
Well, we've kind of been chatting all about this topic this whole time, but I guess to kind of make it official, the Braves having a phenomenal week. One kind of scratch on the resume, if you're going to call it that, was the Braves just losing another getaway afternoon game. We might, to be honest, it would be interesting. I wish I could had some time to kind of go back through and look. The Braves literally might be winless this year on afternoon day getaway games. They just can't seem to figure that one out.
On this?
Yeah. So that's kind of the one kind of black eye on the week so far. So they start the week off in Washington, and they take the first two games of that series 8-0, 8-2. Before dropping that getaway day 3-2 on Wednesday. Off day on Thursday, and this is a topic I kind of wanted to bring up with you guys here in a little bit, but just to kind of finish, on Friday, the Mets come to town, and we take game one 5-2 behind a very good performance from Max Fried, and then come right back. Game two, Kyle Wright versus Max Scherzer, and Kyle Wright pitches a solid outing as well. Picks up his major league leading 21st win on the season, which is very impressive. And the Braves take game two 4-2. That game put Atlanta up one game in the division. So as we sit right now, Atlanta is winning the NL East by a game. So it's what makes tonight's game even more important. Multitude of reasons. Rob and I were talking a bit about this before the podcast started. So the reason this game is not really getting talked a whole lot in the media, I would say, but the reason this game has so much importance is this year the tiebreaker, the very first tiebreaker for the division is your head-to-head matchup. And currently, as it stands right now, the two teams are also tied at 9-9. So whoever wins this game tonight will own the tiebreaker. If the Mets were to win, the division is now tied, and they own the tiebreaker. If the Braves win, they will now be 2 games ahead in the division and hold the tiebreaker. So it's a very big swing. The pendulum, could swing.
Which is why, if you're watching a game right now, you're seeing managers pulling their starters in the third inning, and if a runner gets on, we're moving to another pit. This game is as playoff as it gets.
Yeah. For all intents and purposes, because the Braves and the Mets both play pretty mediocre teams to finish the season here. The Mets, I think, are going to the Nationals. Actually, they might be going home and playing the Nationals at home. The Braves are flying down to Miami to wrap up the season. So really, this is all, for all intents and purposes, this game is going to decide the division.
And did you hear that Mattingly? Did you hear Mattingly said Alcantara's not going to make his last start?
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's a season wrap on Sandy Alcantara.
Well,
because he would have started.
I'm not going to be mad about it. So, So this is why this game has so much importance. Is again that pendulum is going to swing, and we've sat here and talked about this for a few weeks now, of just what the importance of winning the division is in this particular matchup. So essentially, from a playoff standpoint, I think it's also. I think this is decided. I don't think the Cardinals can actually. I don't think the Cardinals can actually catch anybody. The other funny part about all this, Rob is a solid probably 20 seconds ahead of my game feed. So, I'm basically watching Rob's reaction and then seeing what the play is on the screen.
Robbie, you need to take advantage of this and just start throwing some curveballs in there.
Oh no,
Yeah, no.
my heart won't be able to take that. So, yeah. So the Cardinals are locked into the 3rd seed in the wild card. The Dodgers, of course, have locked up the 1 seed. So whichever team.
The Padres clinched a playoff berth today, right?
They did. Yep.
So what are the Phillies? Is it the Phillies? The
Phillies and the Brewers. Yep. Coming down to the last week. So, so I was just going to say, whoever comes out of the East is guaranteed the 2nd seed and a bye. So they get to skip the wild card weekend.
Which would be huge for the Braves.
Huge for the Braves.
Oh
the team that doesn't win the East is guaranteed the 4 seed, which means they do have to play in the wild card series, but they get to host all 3 games. So that's a plus in that column. And then, like Rob said, the last wild card spot is up between the Phillies and the Brewers, and the Phillies have a 2-game lead.
I'll be honest with you. So, how pissed would you be if you had to face, think about that. You're going to have to go in a wild card series with Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler, or Corbin Burns and what's his face, the Brandon Woodruff.
Yeah. Well, and you've got Blake Snell and you've got Yu Darvish for the Padres. I mean, these wild card teams, and no matter which 3 wild card teams you have, the Braves or the Mets, like that's a rough pitching staff too. So, yeah. I mean,
and if you have to face the Mets, you get DeGrom and Scherzer. If you have to face the Braves, you get Fried and whoever.
Fried, there's a reason these teams are in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, for sure. So
I know, but I feel like the National League. I feel like the National League has been extremely competitive, and I feel like the American League has been kind of clear. Like we know who's in, mostly.
No, it's set. The National League is fully set. With the exception, the wild cards technically could shift a bit, but it's pretty much set. Houston has locked in the 1 seed. The Yankees have locked in the 2 seed, and Cleveland locked in the 3 seed. We're kind of getting a little bit ahead, but it's fine. Playoff preview.
Brought to you by.
Not a sponsor, but Michelob Ultra.
If you want a sponsor,
yeah. If you want a sponsor, we're not gonna turn it down.
Churn the butter. Churn the butter. Churn it. Churn
Toronto.
it really good.
Things are happening, boys.
Yeah.
Make it nice and creamy.
There it is. Chop house.
Make it nice and creamy.
Oh.
Put it on a stick in the chop house.
Mr. Seth Lugo. Take that, my friend. I've seen so much chatter on social media of like Matt Olson, and it's so funny because for so long, for whatever reason, there's been a pretty heavy Braves like resistance to him. Matt Olson is having a very good season. Like,
well, that's
very good season.
That maybe is 100. That maybe is either 99th or 100 RBI.
I'm pretty sure it's his 100th. I also believe that's his 76th or 77th extra base hit on the season. Yeah, he's having a phenomenal season. So
he had a rough month, but
he did
hitting 5 home runs in this week. He might be player of the week.
Yeah.
That was his 5th home run this week, I think.
Yeah. Yep. So to finish up in the AL for the wild card, Toronto is 2.5 games ahead of Seattle for the 4 seed, and Seattle is a game and a half ahead of Tampa Bay. So there is Toronto's pretty much got locked up 4, but there could be some shift there. So
I know we wanted the Orioles to get in there, but how cool was it to see the Mariners get in there on that walk-off?
Oh, yeah. That was so cool.
And their manager be like, let's party.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's good for the sport. It's obviously good for Seattle. It would be awesome if they could figure out how to get into that 4 seed and host that series. Because
they got
having to go up to Toronto, that's going to be tough.
Yeah.
That's a tough series. So
yeah, but they can pitch. I mean,
can.
they got Robbie Ray. They've got Luis Castillo. We went out. I mean, you remember playing them when we went out there on that West Coast trip for the Braves. They were no joke.
They got some bats. Yeah, I mean, Julio Rodriguez is a guy. I mean, he won the home run derby for a reason, or was almost won it.
He's very good.
I always love the stat ESPN puts up, and it's a home run in 30 of 30 ballparks. Like, that's really only geared towards like New York, Boston, like these parks that don't have legitimate like dimensions in their stadiums is what they're gearing that towards. So it's pretty funny.
They just showed a statistic in this game that Dansby, Swanson, and now Matt Olson have home runs in 3 straight games each in the same three games.
Yeah, which is clutch.
Anything you can do, I can do better.
So anyway, so that is why this Braves Mets series is so big. It's why Braves fans, Mets fans, really baseball fans in general have kind of been talking this up this whole weekend. It's so huge. And Rob and I were also talking before we got on, and Barrick, you would probably agree with this if I had to imagine. Basically, the Braves had to go into this series to sweep it, to basically try to tie up the division and control their destiny. And it was set pretty early that they were going to have to face DeGrom, Scherzer, and Bassett.
Yeah.
To have a team potentially go in and sweep that series is, I mean, the odds are very much stacked against you to do that. And the fact that the Braves went in and took games 1 and 2, I mean, that's impressive in and of itself. Just the fact they beat Scherzer and DeGrom.
2 out of 3.
Yeah.
If you get one of those guys, if you
Yeah.
got those guys back to back and you get one of them,
yeah,
in a regular season ball game as a team, no, you don't want to lose any one game. But if you take 2 out of 3 with those donkeys on the mound,
yeah,
then you're taking that to the bank every single time.
Yeah.
Every time. This one just has a lot more to it.
Yeah. And it was very interesting hearing the commentators last night, especially kind of Smoltz was kind of, which I always find interesting when the Braves get a primetime game and Smoltz is calling it. But Scherzer last night, I mean, typically when Scherzer is very much locked in that zone that he gets into, which he was last night, he is typically like Serena Williams grunting the mess out of some pitches. And he was not doing that last night. And so I don't know if that is a little bit of him still lingering on that oblique, injury, and he's not willing to give it that extra, or if he kind of knows, hey, while this game is important, it's still not the postseason. I still need to have, gas in the tank for the postseason, because we all remember what happened last year. He came out and basically said his arm was dead and couldn't really pitch in the postseason. So I did find that interesting. It did not seem like he was putting max effort in a lot of pitches last night. Watching that game,
he's got a lot of mileage.
Yeah,
he's got a lot of mileage. I'm not saying he can't do it, and like his fastball is still 95, 96.
Yeah.
But even Schmaltz said it last night on the broadcast. Like he has it when he needs it.
Yeah.
But he can't sit 97, 98 like he used to.
Yeah.
And again, major league hitters, major league pitchers. If a major league pitcher leaves one in the middle, a major league hitter is going to hit it, and it doesn't matter. I mean, shoot, DeGrom still throwing 100. I mean,
yeah,
same thing. So you do kind of get into a mode of, we're not going to get anything off this guy. But I think the difference is the Braves, for those two guys, have said, we're going to come out and absolutely take our hacks. We are going to, like, who cares if we strike out? I mean, shoot, DeGrom struck out double digit.
Yeah. Let me pull it up.
How many did you strike out? We're going to swing and miss. It's okay.
11.
But if he 11. But if we make a mistake, if he makes a mistake, we have to be on it.
Yeah.
Because if we aren't, then he's going to go 8 and we're going to get shut out.
Yeah. Well, and then to your point, that's what they did. I mean, he went 6 innings. He gave up 5 hits. But of those 5 hits, he allowed 3 runs. So, and it was all solo home runs. If I remember correctly, it was Olson, Riley, and Swanson. So, I mean, those 3 guys, got those mistake pitches and made him pay. So,
all right. So Iglesias is on in the 7th.
I think that means Minter's in for the 8th because he didn't pitch last night.
Oh, Kinley.
And then the roller coaster of Kenley Jansen for the 9th inning. Friday night's game was particularly hilarious to me because Chip Carey and Jeff Francoeur were on the call since it was still a regional game, and Kenley. That was the night Kenley I think walked a batter, gave up a hit, so the bases were loaded with 1 out, and he ends up getting out of it. And as the game is ending, you could hear Jeff Francoeur like. It was kind of like under some music and some audience noise. He goes, just like Will Smith from last year. He's like, it's all over again. And he's not lying. I mean, Braves fans suffered through the last month of the season of Will Smith last year. Basically, it was a guarantee. I mean, they might as well put runners on first and second every time he came out to pitch and just let him start the inning that way. But he would somehow figure out his way to wiggle out of it.
I was going to say, it worked out.
Yeah, and then in the playoffs, he goes perfect, which, again, is nuts. But so we're hoping the same thing for Kenley. He looked really good last night. Again, knock on wood or whatever. But his stuff looked good. It was sharp. He had good movement on the cutter. So that's about all we can ask for. So. But yeah,
if I don't ever have to see Jeff McNeil again,
I mean, nobody responded to me in our group chat earlier this week. Can we talk about the absolute boat oar that he swings at the plate?
It just like doesn't have a handle. It just doesn't have like a knob.
It's a raw piece of wood. Like, I mean, it is unbelievable. And he chokes up like 3. It looks like a quarter of the way up the. I mean, it is like. It's insane.
Roots.
It's insane. I love it. I didn't know they grew those in New York. Yeah. Like, but I mean, I don't know. I guess his approach at the plate. I mean, he's basically playing Pepper. I mean, so it's like he's going up there with a fungo bat and he's just putting barrel on the ball and he gets on base. Like, he's very good at it. I mean,
yeah,
that hit that he just got. Prime example. Like, I mean, it's pretty remarkable. So good for him. So, to Rob's point, some Braves hitters have had some very good weeks this week. Matt Olson, again, probably a spoiler alert for a little later in the episode. I mean, is having player of the week type numbers. Through yesterday, doesn't include today's game. He was 8 for 16 with 6 runs, 4 home runs, 7 RBIs, 3 walks, and only 4 Ks. Tonight, he's had another walk. He's hit another home run. He might have walked twice, to be honest, I think. But so he's having quite a week. Acuna's had 2 home runs this week. Swanson's had 3 home runs this week. Ozuna sneaky with a home run this week. Austin Riley having an okay week. Picked up the big home run against DeGrom, which is always going to be welcome in that world. So happy to see it. So just some guys having some good weeks. So
Olson had that RBI walk. He had the bases loaded walk.
Yeah. So another 2 RBI night. He had that last night as well. So And then pitching wise, we talked about it. Max Fried and Kyle Wright have pitched absolute gems this weekend against the Mets. They both went 5 innings.
Let's chat about Max.
Hits.
Let's chat about Max Fried for a minute.
Yeah.
Dude almost threw up in a dugout.
Yeah. And pitched 5 innings of 1-run baseball, feeling that way. Apparently he started feeling that way when he went out to pitch the first inning.
I don't think from the post game, I don't think Snicker knew he was sick. Krantz knew, but Snicker, he didn't tell him.
Yeah.
The pitching coach didn't tell him.
Some things are just better left unsaid, I think. So,
he's sick?
Yeah. Bryce Elder, actually, let's not forget to talk about him and overlook the National Series. He goes out and pitches a complete game, 6-hit shutout. I mean, that's the first and only Braves complete game of the season, and was absolutely huge this week because it gave the bullpen another complete days of rest that they didn't have to use. They were already getting Thursday's day of rest. So for him to come out and do that, I think on Tuesday, it was Monday night. It was the night we recorded the podcast. So they got a full day's rest on Monday, only had to come out and worry about Tuesday and Wednesday. And kind of figured it out from there. Jesse Chavez has continued to do his thing. Raciel Iglesias has continued to do his thing. Colin McCune has looked really good. That's also another sneaky pick up this offseason that not a lot of people have been talking about. That dude just comes in and gets big outs. He'll eat up some innings for you when you need him as well. Overall, just a solid week for the staff. So
he spins the baseball well, and it's different. Like he's just It's just the Braves have a lot of different looks.
Michael Harris, center field, money. Sorry, I'm 3 plays behind you, but it's fine.
Your boy's up, Scotty. Man on.
Oh, Francisco's back up.
Yeah, I'm terrified that he's going to get a hold of one.
So, if I remember correctly, the way the rule works, if you sub in a guy for your DH, it's a straight DH swap, right? The guy, you just can continue to stay in as DH.
Yeah, that's the new DH.
And also, it's the Shohei rule where if the pitcher is the DH and he comes out of the game, he can stay in the game as the DH.
Correct.
Also correct? Okay.
Correct.
Not that the Braves have anybody they need to worry about doing that, but
no. But if it's a pitcher DH, you can do that. Do the Mets have a third catcher?
I don't know.
Neat. I don't know.
Let's look at the roster real quick.
An active third catcher. Because they just put their dude in. Pinch hit for him.
Let me see the bench. Nito. Nito is a catcher.
That's
so neat. They've got McCann starting. They've brought that Francisco guy up to basically be a DH, even though he does catch. And then they've got Nito on the bench as well. So,
Where are we in the agenda, Scotty? Are we staying on task?
Yeah, I think so. We were talking earlier just to kind of, actually give the actual numbers. So Matt Olson this year is hitting, 241. The average isn't there, but he's second on the team in home runs with 33. He now has 101 RBIs, and he has 77 extra base hits. So, I'm fine with that. He struck out 165 times, which is not terrible. He's walked 75 times. That's okay. I have zero qualms. He's played 159 games this year. He has been consistent when we've needed him.
Available,
and that's all you can ask for, really. He's actually played the most games. Him and Dansby are tied at 159. So that's every game, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because they've only got 3 left against the Marlins. So him and Dansby have played every day this year. So
That's exciting.
kudos to them.
It's exciting. And you know what? Going into a tough situation, man. One of the things I've been doing pretty much since the end of the school year last year was reading up and trying to get better at the mental side of things and the mental game and coaching it, young people and things like that.
Yeah.
And the amount of mental discipline you have to do what Matt Olson has done this year, considering the pretty consistent opposition and comparison of him and Freddie Freeman. It is actually really, really impressive. It's very impressive.
I think the one thing that he has going very well in his favor that helps with that mental side too, Rob, is the fact that he's from the area. So he basically came back home to family and all that kind of stuff too. And I think that plays a big role in that, hypothetically speaking, like if Freddie Freeman was the Yankees first baseman and he went to New York to replace Freddie Freeman there, could be a very different types of situation.
Yeah. So. But also being at home, being in front of your family, for the hometown team, like that takes it up, like
added pressure.
That does raise the pressure. Like, all right, you're our chosen son. You're our blood. You're from here.
Exactly.
So he also has a really good supporting cast around him too, which I think helps. He doesn't have to be the number one man on the team, and I think that's gotta help a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and I think to our point earlier, like Dansby stepping into the leadership role he has. I mean, we've seen Ozzie step into some roles this year and calling guys out when they weren't hustling or doing things they needed to. So I think that's a great point, Barrick, of he wasn't expected to come in and also now become like literally fill the shoes of Freddie from a leadership and production standpoint. So I think that's a very good point for sure. Our next kind of talking point here, unfortunately, Barrick, I don't want to bring the mood down for you, but the Orioles finally fell out of the race.
We knew it was going to happen.
We were rooting so hard for it. I will say this, though. I mean, even though they're out of the race per se, if you look at the standings, they're still only 4 games back with 3 games to play.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they could finish this season. If they win out and something weird happened, they could finish just 1 game back, which is, I think, remarkable.
Yeah.
Like you said,
are they going to have a winning record? What's their
guaranteed?
Record?
Guaranteed. 82 wins today. So,
so they can finish the year with 86 wins?
85.
85?
Yep.
Barrick.
I'm telling you, man, who would have thunk it? But and I think it's a lot of fun. Like they took a huge step forward, and now it's fixing our sights on what are they going to do in the off season to keep this momentum rolling, because the one thing we don't want them to do is take a step backwards. So I think it'll be interesting what they decide to do in the off season with some of their current guys on the roster, and who do they also go after that's not on the roster. So it's going to be kind of fun to see what they do. I hope, and I think it's going to be more active than it has been in the past couple of years. So that'll make it a little bit more fun too.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say like the Orioles 100%, I think, are going into next season like playoffs as a goal. Like I think this year that was not a goal. But I think next year it's legitimate, and they should have that on their minds for that. So, so I think that's a legitimate goal. I mean, shoot, like Robbie just said, if they win 3 games, they're 5 games away from winning 90 games. Like, that's they could have won a couple of divisions winning 90.
That's an extra win a month.
So I mean, they obviously played really well. I think they're they're gonna have a legitimate chance of making. And we've already talked about the schedule changes and things like that, which I think are going to help as well. But yeah, I think making the playoffs is a real possibility for them next year, and it should be. And yeah, I think that's going to be a lot of fun because it's been a long time since we could say that. So
Absolutely.
Well, and I'll tell you what, Baltimore is a fun place. Baltimore's
Yeah.
a fun place when they're good.
It is.
Like
Yeah.
when they're good, it's rocking.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a good vibe in the stadium. It's it's laid out well. I mean, that right
And
field,
again,
like
we talked about it a little bit this year, like with how young they are. I think that's going to make it for. I think a lot of people will enjoy watching them. Next year, I think more people are going to be watching them just because people are a little bit more tuned in to what's going on with them now. But yeah, I think they're going to be a fun team for people to root for because they're just going to be a lot of young guys that are having a lot of fun and hopefully continue to win a lot of games.
Yeah. I mean, I think sadly, you always do this hindsight when you're looking at a season. I think the Orioles are going to look back on this last week as their missed opportunity, dropping 3 out of 4 against the Red Sox.
Yeah.
If you just win, just say you sweep that, now you're legitimately talking about a 90-win team almost at that point.
Yeah.
So, and you're probably still in the playoff race at this point as well. So,
yeah, but you know what? I think there was a little bit of a little bit of a cap on what they could do just because a combination of injuries and again just how young they were. I think they were relying on a lot of guys that did not have the stamina. I think to really keep things going. So I don't know. That's why it's. I think everybody as an Orioles fan was hoping that they could make the playoffs, but I think realistically, a lot of people knew like, hey, there's only they're not built to really go very far, just because again, nobody thought this was a possibility. So
right.
So yeah, I think I think that's why having this coming off season to really kind of plan for a playoff push will be interesting to see what they do because I think that's going to be the whole goal and.
Yeah.
I think they could kind of position themselves a little bit better. Hopefully they can stay away from the big injury bug too. I think that'll be a big part of it. But it's going to be
Staying healthy is like everything. I mean,
yeah. Because I mean, again, if they had John Means this year, I think that alone would have made it a much more realistic playoff push because then it's just it's somebody else that they can rely on in the rotation. They don't have to put quite as much pressure on some of these young guys that they did. So I think having him would have been a big deal. And again, hopefully this coming year they can go into it with him healthy, and I think that'll make a big difference.
Well, and I hate to say this too, Barrick, but I think the other thing that you got to look at with this season is the unfortunate aspect. And again, we don't know how these prospects are going to play out, but the Orioles sold at the deadline. I mean, they traded their closer away. They traded Trey Mancini away. I mean, those are two guys that if you still have in the lineup and in your bullpen, maybe they don't lose those games against Baltimore. I know it's always a coulda, shoulda, but I mean, that's a big picture goal. I think, in my opinion, too. They need to have focus on the playoffs and then figure out how to not be sellers at the trade deadline. So,
even if you're in that middle ground, what they did this year after getting rid of Mancini and their closer, now this front office is like, you know what? We're not quite where we want to be. But we know they can do it. We know they can get this rolling, and that's huge. That's huge, especially for a group of young players.
Yeah, and I still think them trading Mancini as hard as it was to see, and like maybe they could have if they had kept them, maybe they'd be in the playoffs this year. But I still think it was the right thing to do in the long run, just because they did get. They didn't get like a great package back for him, but at least it's a couple guys that apparently, I read a couple articles on The Athletic about, they weren't big name guys that they got back, but they're guys that, they feel good about. So, their whole goal right now is to try and increase the the pitching depth in the minor league. Their minor league system has a lot of really good bats, but it does not have a lot of pitching prospects. That's something they were able to address with trading away those two guys, and so I think in the long run it was still probably the right thing to do. But we'll see. We'll see how they pan out.
You know what? When the Braves made an emphasis on getting pitchers, I mean, geez, the first however many picks of their drafts for the last few years have always been pitchers. Think about how the Mets built their pitching staff. They are paying hundreds of millions of dollars a year for 3, 4, 5 starting pitchers.
Yeah. And the Braves have these guys under team control. Like, it's a major difference. Yeah.
But they also, like what you're talking about, Barrick, is if you have that depth, like you're not going to find a number one in every draft. Like, you're not going to find a number, that's just not how it works. But to have 4 or 5 or 6 players in your big league, in your minor league system, who could be a 3, 4, 5, who could come out there and be like good major league pitchers is huge. Is huge. I mean, it's huge. Think about like we talked about Bryce Elder. Like, he has ended up meaning a lot to the Braves down this stretch. And spoiler alert, I don't think Odorizzi is going to make the postseason roster. I think Bryce Elder is going to make the postseason roster because of how well he pitched.
Yeah. And how poorly Odorizzi has pitched.
So. And every once in a while you catch lightning in a bottle.
Absolutely. That's what happened with Dylan Lee last year. I mean, dude made his debut in the playoffs. I mean, that's absurd. So,
how old? Hey, Barrick, how old is John? How old is that Means guy? Because
he's pretty young. I don't know. I'd have to look up exactly how old he is. He's not old.
So he'll be there for a while. But like to have that.
Yeah. I mean, because like next year, they're depending on what they do with Jordan Lyles, they'll have John Means, they'll have hopefully Grayson Rodriguez will be there. Again, maybe Jordan Lyles, and then they got the young guys like DL Hall. They're still planning on having in the rotation. They've got Kyle Bradish. So they've got a pretty nice little mix. And again, they're one of their big goals for the offseason is to try and go get either a number 1 or a number 2 pitcher. So I mean they're hoping to still add to it. But yeah, I think they've got a really nice group that's going to be fun to watch next year. I think it's going to be a really it's really entertaining. This year was a lot of fun, but I think it's going to be even more fun next year because they're going to have these younger guys that are got some seasoning on them. They can hopefully come in and make a consistent difference. And I think it's going to be fun to watch them from day one actually push for a playoff spot.
Offense does this, but pitching and defense show up every night.
Yep.
If you can pitch it and throw it across, you will be in ball games.
John Means is 29, by the way.
Yeah, there you go.
6'3", 235.
Wow.
He's a dude. So, yeah. So, I mean, again, this Orioles team's been fun to watch. It's been fun to follow. It's been super fun, obviously, with us doing our podcast and them actually staying relevant.
That's the reason they were doing well. I mean,
there you go. Yeah. I'd have to go back and look. I tried to look on our spreadsheet and I couldn't find it there before. I think we set the over-under at 62 wins because 62 wins would have meant they lost 100 games. And I think most of us took the under. So, I mean, if they finish this season 85 wins, that's a huge win for the team and the organization. Plus, I mean, we're not talking about. I mean, they were able to pull up a lot of young guys in this last month of the season when the rosters expanded, and they got some guys, some very, I think, valuable experience to go into next season with. I mean, we've talked about this for several episodes now. Gunnar Henderson came up and looked like a dude. I mean,
Yeah, he does.
He had a great season. So that's going to be very interesting to see how they kind of play all this out, because he plays second. You know, our friend of the friends of the podcast, Connor Norby, also plays second. So it's going to be interesting. They've got a lot of young talent that's kind of blocking a little bit of the system there. So
yeah, they may have to get a little creative with how they
can anybody play shortstop?
Guys. Yeah.
Well, they already got a guy that's playing shortstop.
Yeah.
What was his name, Barrick?
I think Mateo.
Yeah. Well, I think Gunnar played some shortstop this year, didn't he?
As long
as he played some. He played a little bit of shortstop. He played a little bit of second. They had they've used a couple guys in a couple different positions. They've had Jorge Mateo. They've had Rugnit Odor's even played a little bit. So they've had guys kind of all over the place. But you know what? It's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have when you have enough talent that you're trying to find out where to put them. So
it's better than the alternative, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, and that's usually been for the Orioles, that's been the case up until this season. It was like, well, I mean, this guy, he's never played a day at second base, but we'll give it a shot, see what happens. So, it's nice not to have to do that anymore. So
Hey, as long as they keep Anthony Santander,
boys.
Yeah, Santander.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how we'll see if he fits in. I have a bad feeling that he's gonna be on the trade block, but.
Well, that dude wrote 4 home runs this week, so
he finished the season really good.
His value needs to stay pretty steady. And that's what I was going to say. I mean, I think there's been some really cool storylines for the Orioles this year. Austin Hayes quickly became one of my favorite players to watch. He was running around the outfield, making plays. His bat kind of fell off kind of the last month of the season or so, but he's still a real fun player. And again, Adley Rutschman, we talked about him. He made his debut this year, had some early struggles, but he turned on a light switch kind of to close the season, which we all predicted would happen. He needed time.
He real good.
Yeah.
He good.
So 2022, he's now sitting at 254. He's got 35 doubles, a triple, which the triple was his first hit, right? So
that was his first hit, and that doubles number is he broke the record for most extra base hits by a rookie for the Orioles. So
nice.
That was a record.
That's
for him.
That's a good list to be on.
Carhana real good.
Yeah,
Carhana real good.
13 home runs, 42 RBIs. Only 85 strikeouts and 393 at bats. So
he really turned on a switch, and like I said, they've got a lot of interesting guys to keep an eye on for this coming year. So I think it's gonna be worth watching for sure.
Yeah. Santander finishes not finished. He's sitting at 33 home runs on the year, which, I mean, that's very impressive. I mean, a 30-year home run season. And hey, he's a right-handed hitter, right? That they moved that fence back in Baltimore. So, kudos to him. Still getting the bat to the ball. So,
and like you said, Austin Hayes, he's a fun guy. I don't know if I'm sure we could find the clip on YouTube, but they mic'd him up for one of the. I think it was when they played the Red Sox, I think. And he's a funny dude. Like he has a good time out there, and he's an easy guy to root for.
Yeah, absolutely. And he hit 16 home runs this year, respectable. Not wanting to throw any shade on him for sure, but cool. Any other thoughts you wanted to add in on the Orioles there, Barrick?
Now we'll just see. Like I said, we'll follow along and see what happens in the offseason.
Yep, I hear you. Well, as it stands right now, at the time of recording this podcast, Mark Canha just got a hit. That's fun. So I was going to say, top of the 8th, the Braves are ahead of the Mets 5-3, and we'll see. Hopefully that can stick. All right, let's take a look here. Players of the week, kind of a continual segment that we've done on this. Rob, as he was kind of mentioning a little bit earlier, I think I'm going to have to go with Matt Olson for Player of the Week this week. Again, not including tonight's game. He was 8 for 16, so he's hitting 500 with 3 walks, 4 home runs, 7 RBIs, and 6 runs. He's popped another home run tonight, which makes it 5, and then he's drew another walk with an RBI. So he's sitting around 5 home runs with 9 RBIs or so. Solid week on his part. Shout out to Santander as well. He poked 4 home runs. Overall pretty solid this week on that front.
I think it's Matty out. Considering the month he had the previous, like the month before this week.
Yeah, for sure. Pitcher of the week. I felt like it could go a couple different ways. Marcus Stroman had a really good week this week. He had 2 starts, went 2-0, had 13 innings pitched, gave up 9 hits with 1 run, and had 13 strikeouts. So I felt like that was a pretty solid week. But Nestor Cortez, he pitched 1 game. He started 1 game, pitched 7 1/3 innings, only gave up 1 hit, no runs, and had 12 strikeouts. So those were kind of the main 2 that stuck out to me. If I had to pick one, I would probably give it to Nestor. That was just a pretty impressive start, 1 hit over 7 1/3 innings. So, but Stroman,
I just like his vibe. I just like Nestor's vibe on the mound.
I can't say that I'm a very big fan of the change of motions that he does. I saw maybe it was a clip from his start this week, but he like legitimately quick pitched a guy this week, or the one clip I saw here not too long ago. And to me, it's like a borderline balk. I mean, when you look at the definition of a balk, it's intent to deceive a runner or a hitter. I mean, what he did, he literally quick stepped back. I mean, he threw a pitch in like a 1/10 of a second. Like, I mean, and so I just don't really understand how he gets away with it. But
because he's funny.
Yeah. So, but he's pitched very well this year. And so, like I said, if you had me leaning one way or the other, that's kind of the direction that I would lean there on that one. So, congrats. Not that it means anything for coming from this podcast, but that's words.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's a big accomplishment. That goes on guys' resumes.
I will say we've been pretty spot on our podcast when we do these on Sunday, and we kind of pick our players of the week. They are usually either the NL or AL player of the week, position, or pitcher. So we
maybe they're using our formula.
There you go. So. But
you mean they got the same dartboard that we have?
Yeah. Well, I think they're clicking the same statistics that we're clicking through for sure. So, oh man. Let's see.
Old AJ Minter needs to throw his fastball for a strike.
Yep. I'll tell you, we don't really have a segment for this per se. Weirdest situation of the week for me. I believe it was. I'm gonna have to go look it up real quick because I don't want to misspeak. The Yankees game earlier this week. Who were they playing? The Blue Jays had a runner on first base. Aaron Judge at the plate. The pitcher gets called for 3 balks in a row. No, that wasn't the Yankees.
It was the Marlins.
It was the Marlins against the Mets. That's who it was. That's who it was. 3 balks. And to be honest, I've watched the clip of that probably 30 times. I don't even know what they're calling him for a balk for. Well, I mean, I think they're saying he's not coming set.
Mattingly at the end of the game was like he hasn't gotten a balk call all year. Oh, that's it.
Well, and when you look at the next pitch after he
I knocked the headphone out.
Is a double play coming up? Is that what's rolling the dice here?
No, Tomas
Or is this a is this deception?
Is he? Yeah, I know that was a genuine reaction there. So there's one. Dansby quick with a catcher running. Love it. All right, boys.
Kenley's coming up with 1, 2, 3 coming up.
Yeah. We need some runs. Oh boy.
Okay, so before they come back up, does Buck show? But I mean, you can't leave Atlanta and not have thrown Edwin Diaz.
Unless he's coming in to pitch this bottom of the 8th. I mean, I was shocked he didn't come in the 7th.
Is this Zach Britton all over again?
It very well could be. I don't know. I agree with you, Rob. I don't know what's going on. I mean,
you can't you got to know Kenley is you got to know Kenley has that in him. More than likely, he's coming out. It's his 3rd day in a row. If you need a 0 in your Buck Showalter, it's Edwin Diaz. It would have to be Edwin Diaz.
Yeah, I agree with you. So anyway, that has to be the weirdest situation this week. Dude getting 3 balks, and when you look at the next pitch after they call the balk to put the runner to send the runner home, it was the same exact motion. I mean, that's probably one of, aside from the Madison Bumgarner hand massage that happened earlier this year with Dan Blandino. That's probably the weirdest situation that I've seen so far this season. Because I mean, I'm
getting fidgety because I'm freezing, guys. I'm sorry.
I'm not saying that I'm like the most cool-headed guy in the world, but there comes a point where it's we've got to have words. What is happening right now? So anyway, I don't know. It's pretty nuts. So.
You know what? On that double play, kudos to AJ Minter for letting that ball go.
Yeah. That honestly has to be one of the hardest things as a pitcher, is to trust that you've got a fielder there.
Well, that comes from knowing where your middle infield. I mean, that comes from turning around and looking.
Yeah.
Oh, so Nito's in the game, so they have no more catchers.
Yeah.
So if
McCann's out.
So
they'd have to forfeit the DH, right?
Holy moly, you're not going with Diaz. They probably no.
Yeah, that. I don't know. The guy only has to get. I think he has to pitch to one more hitter. So it could be he's pitching to this first hitter coming up, and then they're bringing Rodriguez in next.
What do you mean, pitch to one more hitter?
So this guy only pitched to 2 hitters last inning, so they could have taken him out.
It's 2 at the end of the inning.
But if you come back in the next inning and you haven't pitched to 3, you have to still hit the 3-batter minimum. So if he would have only pitched to 1 hitter in the last inning,
he comes back out.
He has to pitch for 2 more. That's my understanding of the rule. You're right. He can take him out in the middle of that inning after only facing 1. But if he sends him back out there, then the 3-batter minimum still applies, is my understanding. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how it is. That's why you see most guys take them out after that half inning, if they only face 1 batter or 2.
Do you think the Braves try to?
This guy's filthy.
Do you think the Braves try to find an elite Edwin Diaz level closer in the offseason? Because I mean the Braves, that's been their one thing, is they've had heart-wrenching closers for the last couple of years.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I definitely as fans that watch it every single day, it's definitely hard to get separate yourself from this. But again, if you look at the season, Kenley is 39 of 46, so he's only blown 7 save opportunities on the year, and he's 5-2. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that we're in a situation where we're struggling at the position.
I know. But you're talking
and,
about
you've got Iglesias there who signed for the
Yeah.
next 3 years as well. So
yeah.
I mean,
But again, you can always get more guys.
I'd like if this Rodriguez guy is a free agent, I'd sign him. That guy is filthy. He's got a little like Jake Diekman like delivery to him, but with like way better stuff.
Oh, here he comes.
Yeah.
They pulled him.
He was pitching to Olson, and that was it. So, hey, I like this Matt Olson montage here.
Here comes Diaz.
He hit a 430 shot off the Grom on Friday. That's no slouch.
Yeah, but I mean, when it's coming in 104,
Well,
right?
you still got to turn it around. I'm curious who leads the majors in saves.
Oh, let's guess. All right, let's guess.
Well, I already saw it, so you and Barrick will have to guess.
Give me American League or National League.
American.
What's the number?
34.
Wait, how's it 34?
That's who leads the league in saves.
Well, I thought you said Kinley had 39.
33.
Is it? It wouldn't be a Ray. It's got to be somebody. Is it Hendricks with the White Sox?
Nope.
What's he got?
32.
That's frustrating. Who is it?
It's a Yankee.
Nope. Emmanuel Clase with the Guardians.
Oh, that was right division.
Yep.
Right
34 saves. So again,
guess.
when we're talking about like
wasn't thinking
Kinley,
about it.
Kinley is second in the league in saves. They've actually bumped it up because I guess they've already basically said he's coming into this game because it was 39 a second ago. Now it's up to 40 save opportunities. But here, let me give you this like comparison, and you tell me who you'd rather have. A record of 2-4 with a 1.34 ERA, 34 saves out of 37 opportunities, or a 5-2 record with a 3.9 ERA and 33 out of 39 saves.
Yeah, I'd rather take.
I mean, okay.
I'd rather take the first guy, but I know that's not the right answer.
Well, the raw.
I don't think there is a right answer. I'm just asking. Like when you look at it,
personal preference. When you think of closer, I mean, shoot. I mean, they just put Edwin Diaz's numbers up, and his ERA is 1.35, and he's got a 51% strikeout rate. Like that's Kimbrel. That's Kimbrel in 2012 level, legit. But
he's 7th in saves.
Who's the other guy?
So that was comparing Emmanuel Clase and Kenley Jansen's numbers.
But again, comparing, there's not a snowball's chance in heck that anybody would choose Edwin Diaz or Clase, Kenley Jansen over those two.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just when you like, yes, I agree because I sit and watch the same Braves games every single night, and there's like heart, we're the hardest thumping. There's runners on base, but I mean, he's getting the job done, and I mean, he's second in the league in saves. He also has Clase only has 62 strikeouts, and Kenley has 69 in less innings. Clase has pitched 60.2 innings, and Kenley Jansen has pitched 53. So, I mean, now again, you start looking. Edwin Diaz has 102 strikeouts and 54 innings. Like,
He also would walk people.
17 walks. Kenley's got 19. Class A's got 10.
Who did the Orioles trade their closer to?
Jorge Lopez went to the White Sox
Minnesota.
or Minnesota. I knew it was somewhere in the North Central.
Central.
So, yeah.
And they're not going to make it.
No,
The White Sox.
can't make it.
It's frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting contract situation to have play out. Is Carlos Correa? He was basically playing on a 1-year deal because he's got the player option, but he did not really have too great of a season. But I don't see him re-signing with the Twins. But it'll be interesting if he gets the same value of contract that he got from the Twins from last year, because he didn't really play.
It's hard to
play
see
into
him. I mean, yeah, it's hard to see him getting the same or better.
So
Well, it's a pretty saturated shortstop market.
yeah,
Because it's Trey Turner,
Swanson,
it's Swanson. Who else?
Correa, technically.
There's another one. Xander Bogart. Is it
Yeah,
Bogarts?
Bogarts can opt out. So, yeah, I think it would probably behoove him to stay one more year in Minnesota. And
Hey Barrett, I think Xander Bogarts would solve the Orioles' shortstop problem.
yeah,
I wouldn't turn him down.
No.
hey, Aaron Judge plays really well in Baltimore too. So anyway, it's fascinating when you start looking at statistics versus the eye test of what we know, because he's not terrible. I mean, he's not a bad closer.
All right. So. I know he's not bad, but you're talking about improving. I know he's not bad, but we're talking about it
going good to great here. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the over. Oh gosh, I'm gonna get you. That people are gonna see me get really nervous on live TV.
I was gonna say we can either wrap things up here, or it can be a lot of fun getting these last 3 outs here on the podcast. So
there's 3 outs. Let's do it.
I'm gonna let you guys write it out. I gotta get off.
Eric.
Well, we appreciate it, Barrick. You got any stack bets you want to try to go in on this week to try to make a valiant comeback here?
There's only 3
games
left.
I know. I think I'm resigned to not winning this. They say you can
270 to play with, so
they say you're allowed to leave the casino with chips. So I think I might take that advice.
Well, I think we're going to try to do something for the playoffs where maybe we give ourselves like a bucket and see who can keep that. Like, there has to be a minimum of, a bet and a certain threshold each week that you have to put up, but maybe see who can last the postseason with their bucket the longest, and that's how we'll kind of wrap up our stack bet competition for the week here. So we'll see. We'll keep it interesting and see what we can put together. So it'll be good. So, well, you got any last words for the people before you head off, Barrick?
Well, I hope you guys don't have any heart attacks. Keep it together.
He's just wanting another genuine reaction out of me.
And this is going to be a fun October for sure. I think we're all excited about it.
Oh, can't wait. I'm excited to do some of these postseason episodes. We're going to have to chat about some things of coming up on some different things, but yeah. So we're excited to see kind of what's going on, and hopefully we're going to be able to put some more episodes together for the playoffs. Probably try to have to get on here more than once a week to keep up with the playoff series and all that. So we'll keep everybody posted as that comes together as well. So
yeah, sounds
we're gonna do our best.
You guys enjoy it, okay?
Thanks, Barrick. We'll talk to you soon, bud.
See you, fellas.
Love you.
Love you too, buddy.
Bye.
Well, Rob, I was trying to get caught up here. We've actually had a little bit of a flurry of some comments here on the live stream. So let's take a look at a couple of these. I put that last word up for Barrick there. We had Chris Lee, same old Mets. Yeah, I would agree with that. And then he also said that he was very impressed. It looks like Chris is a Yankees fan. So he said he was also very impressed with Baltimore. I don't know if that was a sympathy or pity move there, but nonetheless.
There's a lot of joy to go around in
That's right.
in New York Yankee land. So
yep. We'll throw up a comment here from Derpy Gaming. Says, when will the team know who they play the playoffs and the postseason? I think is what they're saying.
They play in the postseason.
Yeah. So some of these races are going to come down to the very last game. So the season ends on Wednesday, October the 5th, for everybody. Rob, this is actually a really cool segue to kind of chat about. The baseball has finally done something amazing, and that is on Wednesday, every game starts at 4:20 Eastern time. So all the games will end at the same time. So you can no longer, if you need a team to win or lose, you can't figure it out. You know what I'm saying? You've got to do it. So I'm hoping by that reaction, that's good. I'll catch up here in about 5 seconds.
It was scary, Scotty. It scared me.
Woo, buddy. I tell you. Oh,
that's
the
exciting.
Atlanta Braves just swept the New York Mets.
Oh, man.
In Atlanta. Man. Holy cow.
Oh, now they got the standings up what they were on through May. What the standings were, and then what they are tonight. Oh, God.
Holy cow. That's incredible.
Hurts.
That is incredible.
God, I hate it for you, Mets fans.
Yeah. Well, June 1st. It was through May. So June 1st, the Braves were 10.5 games back. And as of tonight, they are now 2 games ahead. And as Rob said, if you look on MLB or something like that, it's going to show the magic number for the Braves to win the division at 2. But since the Braves have technically now won, and this guy gets it on the broadcast there, since the Braves own the tiebreaker on heads up against the Mets this year, basically the Braves need to win 1 game against the Marlins Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, and they win the division because they'll win the tiebreaker. So
that magic number means any combination of a Braves win or a Mets loss.
Loss.
If the Mets lose a game, the Braves can lose all of their games. And the Mets lose 1, and it's the Braves.
Yep. So like Rob said, if the Braves win tomorrow and the Mets lose tomorrow, then the Braves would actually outright win the division without a tie. And to be honest, that's what I would prefer to happen. I would not like to see it end in a tie. I would like to see the Braves outright take the division. That would be 5 in a row. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
5.
18, 19, 20, or 19, 20, 21, 20, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah, 5.
So I'm liking the streak again. It's fantastic.
That's so cool. So cool.
I could not be more proud of like a team. I mean, we obviously won the World Series last year, but this is a different team.
A lot of different players.
To go into a series needing to sweep it to win the division, and you have to face Jacob deGrom, Max Scherzer, and Chris Bassett's had a really good year this year.
All-star? Was he an all-star?
I think so. So to take all 3 of those games, the bullpen, correct me if I'm wrong, did they give up a run?
Kenley just pitched on his 3rd straight day.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not pitching enough. Maybe he's better when he's I don't know. But
I'd have to go double check it, but I'm pretty sure the Braves bullpen pitched close to 15 innings with giving up no runs.
That's exciting.
That's fantastic. So
that will make the podcasts that I listen to on the way into school tomorrow. A lot more enjoyable.
Yep. Man, oh man, I tell you, that's incredible.
Go
Glad we got to experience it together, Rob, even though you got to experience it 15 seconds before me, but
Sorry.
But we appreciate you guys joining. Like I said, we appreciate the comments, in there. It's great to interact with the community, and we certainly appreciate you guys tuning in, especially live with us. If you're tuning in after we're live, feel free to still chime in to some comments down below. Happy to always interact with you guys. But you got any other last words before we head off, Rob?
No,
Man.
Go Braves, man. Go Braves.
Man, I'm stoked. That is incredible. Well, we have battled for so many years, like as fans, and I say we, I mean the team, but like we've had to go through it as well with heartache, where these games didn't turn out this way. Like in the years past, we win that first game against DeGrom, and then we get blown out Saturday and Sunday, and then we're like, well, that was fun. But the team just doesn't give up, man. It's so fun to watch. It's so fun to watch. So
yeah, it's because they didn't hold anything back.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Just to add another movie reference in there.
Yeah, always. We're always good for about 4 over under on that. So I'd be remiss if we didn't also wish our good friend Ryan a happy birthday. Wished he could have joined us tonight, but
my present just arrived.
There you go. That's right. So we'll let Ryan have fun celebrating wherever he is. But yeah, it's always fun. If you would like to email us any questions, comments, segment ideas, anything of that nature, email address here on the screen, first23rdpod@gmail.com. That's the word first, the number 2, the word third, pod@gmail.com. Be sure down in the description below, check out our social media. We're over on Twitter. We're over on Instagram. We try to interact with you guys as much as we can over there. We've been trying to live tweet as many games as we have here lately, just to keep everybody engaged. It's the best time of the year in baseball season. Really pumped about the playoffs. If you are watching us here on YouTube, we'd appreciate you giving the video a like, and we'd appreciate you hitting the subscribe button on the channel. Really helps us out, helps with the YouTube algorithm, all that fun stuff. You hear everybody say. So we'll keep it rolling. But we're excited for Braves baseball. We're excited for playoff baseball, and we will be sure to catch you guys here soon. So for myself and for Rob, got it right this time, we will catch you guys next week. Peace.